So here we are again in Borne, and now it's the middle of January 2021, and let's see how much progress there has been since the Christmas holidays. As you can see, they are now building the first floor. Ground floor is completed, and here are the precast concrete walls that they use for the stability of the wind loads. So this here is a fixture point for the temporary bracing, and there's another one. And here is the electrical outlet, although sadly this panel is slightly cracked, and here you can see the thickness of it. It's about 10 centimeters or so. But why this one is a bit cracked, I'm not really sure. It's not supposed to. And over there are also some fixture points, 2 of them. And they probably thread some rebar in there to fix it to the floors. And this is the thing that they use to transport the elements on. This one says Beton. It's a German company, not too far away over the border. Beton Verticaalwerken GmbH. And what we have here are some steel box sections, but those are actually columns, and they support the bay window. This is the base plate with the holes for the bolts, and these holes here are there because this thing is galvanized. So when they galvanize it, the stuff has to be able to enter the interior of the tube. And here are some flanges to which they can fix the beams. And here are some small fixtures for the window frames. And the things they fix to it are those things. Those are the steel structures that support the floor of the bay window. So you have this big beam here, and this is an well, I think, let's see, this is probably an HEAB profile, and this is a angle profile. This one will support the roof of the bay window, and this is where they fix the column. So those 2 holes, they attach to this bit over here. And here are some lintels for the exterior masonry, I think. And as you can see, window frames have been installed on the ground floor level, and they are all wrapped in plastic, probably because they already have the glass in them. But as far as I can see, the steel structure for the bay window has not been installed on that block, but it seems like they have installed it here. Here you can see the steel box section, the column, at the corner of the 2 window frames, and then there's the flange with the holes. And it's not really visible, but there is the steel structure that supports the floor. Yeah, it's not possible to get this visual. But yeah, there are more windows. Let's see what is happening over here. Ooh, this looks very muddy. It's before the vacation they were making pile foundations here. This is also a project from a different builder. Yeah, this is super muddy. But there are, well, drilled foundation piles. That is a pile that they drill with a large drill, and then they pump concrete in the hole, and then they kind of scoop up the soil when they pull out the drill. Also, the floors for the attic have been installed as well. So let's check some things over here. So this is another block, and over there you can see the precast concrete wall with its temporary bracing where it is fixed, and I can even see the stair opening as well, although sadly it is kind of obscured by the scaffolding. Maybe if I can kind of point my camera like that, but there in the distance is the big steel beam that supports the hollow core floors. And then I mean, of course, this blue beam over here, and the holes they drilled in there, they are used to well, anchor the hollow core floors. They're just gonna put some well, I think some rebar or some bolts in there, just some really long bolts that kind of protrude in the open sections of the hollow core. And here we have some of the floor slabs, and this is a solid slab, so this one is not a hollow core. And I think this is just one of the filler panels, and this one is made by Van Wijnen. And here we have a regular hollow core with its hoisting clamp attached to it. And this is one of those Consolis VBI hollow cores. But over here is a small open channel, and that's where they can put anchor bolts in, and then they can grout it up with concrete. Oh, and this is actually the other side of the precast wall, and there is a well, a lifting anchor. That one is used in the factory. And there's another lifting anchor here, and this here is the grouting duct, and this thing goes all the way up to the bottom. So the rebar that protrudes from the foundation is essentially in this grouting duct. Then they can fill this up with concrete. And here we have some more electrical outlets, although I'm not really sure what those things are. And this is another hollow core section with a few, well, holes in it for different reasons. And here's another bit that has been opened, probably for some anchoring or some other uses. And here we have a few trimmer angles, and I think this one is probably going to be supported on the wall on that end, and that one is supported by another hollow core slab. And this is one of those special AL200 panels that has the ducts here for the sewage of the bathroom, and the mechanical ventilation and HVAC ducts. This is why this panel has a thicker bottom, and all of these floors are made of pre-stressed concrete. And as you can see, they have various cutouts also there. Hey, this is interesting. Here they have actually made a few cuts. There's a cut over here and a cut over there. And this panel has its holes covered with some sort of fabric material, probably to kind of seal off the ends to make it airtight. There's even like a warning here. And it says let op spanning zaagdiepte aanpassen. It has something to do with a note from the manufacturing. There's some recessed area and they have to adjust the cutting saw for some reason. And this is the the hoisting clamp thing, and it can handle 4,000 kilograms. And that is the name of the building company. Here we have various ductwork, although I do think these are sewage ducts, considering the diameter of them. Let's see, how big are they? Can we find the diameter on these? I think they are 110 millimeters by the looks of it, so they probably are sewage. And then those green ones, I think are HVAC or ventilation ducts. As you can see, they are quite different. And those small things, well, yeah, that's all sewage, just plumbing stuff. But the diameter is not listed on them. So all these ducts are going to be installed in those recessed areas in the floors. But I'm not sure why these things are green. Well, as you can see, they are just starting to build up the ground floors in this area. Also, there is one block that is going to have a pile foundation, although actually more, and that's over here. As you can see, the soil conditions here are completely different. This is why this block is going to get a pile foundation. And these are the same kind of drilled piles as that other block from that different builder. Well, and here's another block, and I think one of them also had a pile foundation underneath. So it is now late February of 2021. Last week the weather was completely different. It was still freezing and there was a lot of snow and it was really cold. And now it is actually very nice, 13 degrees Celsius. And as you can see in the distance, there is some progress now. They are now working on the roofs of the houses. So let's take a look. So as you can see now, they are now working on the attic. There they've got the attic walls, and these blocks here have the roofs, and those are prefabricated timber frame roofs that are made in a factory, and then they're kind of folded open like a book. They have a hinge mechanism in the top part, and then they are supported by the floors using a beam that is mounted on the floors, and it is kind of visible over there. I don't know if it is visible on the camera, but on that house that doesn't have the roof yet, there is a wooden beam at the edge of the floor. And that one is fixed with anchors, and then the roof kind of leans against it. So there they are working on the walls of the attic. And here's also a nice example of how they can cut the blocks in the factory to the right size and shape. So here's an example of a block that has been cut. It says bouwlaag tweede verdieping, which means it's the building layer of the second story. And this is, well, I think the block number. And then here's some other information. This is probably the date this thing was probably cut. So this looks like a standard block, because these calcium silicate blocks, they just have standard dimensions, and then in the factory they kind of cut them to the right shape, and they make all sorts of drawings for it. If you take a look at that wall, someone makes actually a drawing for that with the placement of the blocks, and then they can cut it, and as you can see, it's a very nice and very clean cut. I think they use some sort of diamond blade saw for this, but it's a very nice cut, as you can see. It's very straight and has a very nice edge to it. And these holes here, they are used for the well, placement crane, I think. So if you take a look at this wall, you can see that it comprises of many standard blocks, and then there's various blocks that have been cut based on the drawing, and there's also a small concrete lintel there. So, and here we have, well, even more hollow core floors, and in this case the cores are being sealed off with a membrane, probably to make the house more airtight. And this here, these are the pre-stressing strands. As you can see, they are steel cables and not rebars. These cables are very high tensile strength steel, and well, they are quite a bit stronger than normal rebars. These cables have a strength of about, well, 1500 megapascals, whereas a normal rebar is more like 500 megapascals. I wonder what this is. Oh, that's probably insulation material. And here's, well, various window frames. And let's see, is this wood? Yeah, this is a timber window frame. And it already has the glazing in it. So that's very interesting. Glazing is already fitted. Let's take a look at the manufacturer's label. Again, this thing has been numbered. This is number 25B. That is number 125. And this is interesting. This panel here has a cutout, a polystyrene block. And this is one of those filler panels for the stair opening. And this polystyrene block is going to be removed, and then they can place the ductwork inside of it. So that polystyrene block kind of corresponds with this here. It roughly has the same size and dimension. So, and this is one of the blocks that is in an earlier stage of building. As you can see, they still have to install the precast concrete walls, and they are starting with the scaffolding, which is just traditional scaffolding with pipes. So here are some houses that have a different foundation. As you can see, it's not masonry but concrete beams. That's because these have a pile foundation. So yeah, structurally that is different. What you're seeing here are precast concrete foundation beams. They kind of have these tooth bearings on the edges. And well, these houses get foundation piles because of the beams. And they are also built by a different builder. So different builder, I'm going to expect that these will probably get a precast concrete structure, knowing the builder and the builder's preferences. So yeah, these are going to be different houses. Well, and over there, just behind that pipe, you can see how the precast beams kind of interlock. The middle beam, that is the beam underneath the separating wall or the load-bearing wall between the houses, is the main beam, and then the two facade beams are supported on it with an L-shaped or tooth kind of bearing system. Well, and here you can see how the foundation beams are supported by the foundation piles. The beams appear to be floating. That's because they are, well, really just resting on the piles. The sunlight is a bit working against the camera, but I hope you can see it. You can kind of see light shining underneath the beams, and also there in the corners you can see the bearing connections a bit better. Maybe we can get a little bit closer to it. So over there you can see the L kind of like overlapping connection, and well, the various piles. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.